finds it very inconvenient to have to shop now that he's divorced. With the exception of his work, he's almost never seen outside. Most days inside with the shades drawn, too tired to read a book, too distracted to watch TV. He watches the long procession of what sunlight comes in creep across the room. Sitting up in his bed, awaking to the real, he wants nothing more than to go to sleep again, and to go outside. That adventure, somewhat blissful, somewhat terrifying. That's just something to do that's more interesting than dust settling amongst his unpacked things. There he is, though, staring down a jar of mayonnaise. It's so bright in here. He looks over his right shoulder after someone who isn't there, hoping to ask his wife if this is the right one. She's not even there, and he hears her say no, even though that's exactly what she would have had on the list. Defiantly and with no joy, he places it into the basket. She'll never know. There's movement out of the corner of his eye, and whatever it is, it's moving fast. Looking down and to his right, he sees, amongst the monolith aisles laid side by side, there are children sliding across the linoleum floor on their knees while their mother idly searches in the non-GMO products section, ignoring them. Stepping to his right out of the way, a boy dressed in sweatpants, winter boots, and an overlarge winter jacket stands up, rubs his knees, then shouts in his piping voice, "I almost made it to the end that time." Looking to the other end of the aisle, he can see the other child, whom is undoubtedly the boy's sister. She shouts back, "Try it again!" "No, you try," the immature voice called back. She nodded, her yellow curly hair bobbing with her under a pink snow cap. She takes off running, leans back, and lets her knees fall to the floor, holding her ankles. Her momentum causes her to slide sideways, aiming at him with the armload of tuna, wheat bread, and mayonnaise. He cringed, freezing in his place, only mustering his bicep to lift the basket out of the way. Without warning, she reaches out her hand mid-slide and knocks 5 or 6 bottles of spaghetti sauce off the bottom shelf. 2 of them break open, splattering shards of glass on the floor. The others roll lazily to the other end of the aisle. The mother seemed not to notice. He glared down the aisle at her, letting his bicep rest and the basket settle to his side. She's reading labels as if she's studying for the MCAT. Suddenly, she looks up from her ill-informed reading, says, "God damn it," walks over to her daughter, leaving her empty carriage behind, reaches down and lifts her from the splattered sauce, moving her away from the glass shards, laughing at the mess they've made. The boy walks past him, smiling at nothing like children do, and avoids the mess like it's hot lava in the living room. They leave the aisle with him scowling alone. "I'm glad I never had children," he thinks. "Just another reason to pretend to be happy. Another reason to stay here." Not that he's contemplating suicide. He contemplates contemplating it. The logistics are the thing. What could I do that would be painless? Where could I do it so I would be found in a reasonable amount of time? Would anyone care? I'm too lazy to even think about it. He stares at the mess for a long moment, wondering how long it will take for someone to come along and clean it up. For them to forget that it ever happened. They'll find it eventually, I'm sure. Walking through the chip aisle next, it's just bags of air. He chooses a squat bag of pretzels. Ruffling it, he turns it over, glancing at the nutrition facts. It's food, and I don't care. Only boring people choose pretzels, she always said. Who gives a fuck what she said? She's gone, and I'll eat as many pretzels as I like. A counselor once told him that accepting those aspects of his personality that were distasteful, the things he couldn't change, would bring him to some sort of contentment. That happiness was a desire that may be unattainable. Unbelieving, he had replied that being boring is what made people run away from him. It's what made them want to leave. He said to the man that the things he said demonstrated to him that he could not possibly understand how depression feels, and how could he help him if he didn't know how this felt? In a rare moment of broken patient-counselor relationship, the man rolled up his sleeves and showed him 2 long scrawling scars that ran up his forearms. It was in that moment that he understood that this thing that comes over him and others, it must be different for everyone. So the only person that could help him was himself. Staring down the aisle, he sees the mother and her children approaching from the other end. The two seem to have calmed down, with only a few jitters at their mother's side, each of them ready, each of them wanting to make an incalculable move. The girl hands the mother a bag of chili Fritos, to which the mother balks, mouths the word no. Sullen, the child places it back on the shelf with her head down. That's when he noticed the card. Barren of anything fun, barren of anything that a child would like. It didn't even have anything a child would need, for Christ's sake. Vegemite, scallions, broccoli, kale, of course kale, rice bread, etc. With disgust, he chokes back a gag. They sauntered past him, winter clothes swooshing. In a fit of annoyance, he took the bag of chili Fritos and put them in his basket. No wonder they're playing winter games inside. She continues on to the frozen food section with the children in tow. He waited a few moments and followed. Thereafter, everything that the children picked up and she put back, he put in his basket. What he was going to do with all of it, he had no idea. It's not as if he were going to accost her in the parking lot and force her to take the food. Why am I doing this? Is there some lame poetic reason? They were nearing the end of their shop. He could tell because he was near enough now to read her shopping list. Why am I this close? Everything had been checked off. Don't you remember being happy? He thought all of these things, then looked down at the contents of his basket. Friendly's peanut butter ice cream, for the after-dinner argument between Mom and Dad. Fruity Pebbles, for those Sunday morning cartoons. Don't they have a channel for that? Whole milk. I don't care if it comes from a cow's tit. It tastes fucking great. Frozen French fries and ketchup. What the hell was wrong with these? Nothing. I've lost 10 pounds anyways. I'll eat them. Still, the joyful, cherubic children kept smiling at their mother's side and shrouded in winter clothes that would never get wet, with bellies full of cellulose, which they cannot digest unless cooked. Then it dawned on him that what he had been doing was absurd. Following a mother and children around a store? What kind of freak was he? There was nothing wrong with her or them shopping for whatever she wants. Nothing is wrong, and there's nothing to be worried about. Absolutely nothing. Why is everyone happier than me? Better than me? Standing in the checkout line, the mother and children ahead of him, he lets one tiny tear roll down his cheek. And before he can wipe it away, the hand of the mother juts out and lifts it from his face and wipes it on her shirt. The kids are staring at him, not in bewilderment, but more in that general ambivalence that families that live with depression have. Their expression said, "What do we do? What can we do?" She said, pushing the milk, the eggs, the ice cream, the Fruity Pebbles, etc. across the conveyor belt. She said, "Hold it together. We'll be home in less than..." He's already nodding and gulping back his emotions, swallowing them where they rot. 20 minutes. There goes the kale, the Vegemite, the broccoli. All of it, along with the chili Fritos. In the parking lot, while they're loading their groceries into the car, she asks, "You want to tell me what you were thinking about?" He stared at her for a long moment while snowflakes gathered in her hair, and shook his head very slightly. She continued, "Would you like to call your advocate?" He replied, "No," then thought, "She's the greatest thing to ever happen to me. Why would I imagine that she's not even mine, that she had left, or even what a life without my children would be like? I feel there's something so wrong with me that I don't deserve anything at all." Through the open hatchback, he hears the laughter of his children, each buckled to one side of the car but reaching for each other. She tickles him, then moves away. Then he tickles her but moves away, each screaming with laughter. She shuts the hatch, muting them. They round their individual side of the car, she looking over the top of the car at him for another long moment, then mouths the words, "Come on, let's go." Thank you for watching. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Share it on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, wherever.